Well, great. Good evening, everyone. Honored to be here with you tonight to talk about one of our most exciting products, I think, and that is our Unimate. As Matt mentioned, I'm Dr. Erin Glenn. I'm your Vice President of Research and Development here at Unicity. And if you were on the call back in August, I did a brief introduction of myself then. I think I'd been at the company maybe like 9 days at that point. But today is actually my 4-month anniversary. So I've had a little bit of time now to learn more about the products and everything that we have going on. And I can honestly tell you, I am just as excited today, if not more so, about the opportunities that we have here at Unicity to really impact people's health, to impact their lives, to be a positive influence on their health and their lives. And I really am excited about that. So now that I've had some experience with our range of products, I can tell you that Unimate is currently my favorite. I feel like it's had some really amazing effects on me personally, and I know it's going to help a lot of people with their physical and mental energy, mood, and just overall quality of life. So let's jump into it. And today we'll be talking about the science behind our Yerba Mate product that's called Unimate, its key components, and how it works. So I am sure that most of you can relate to this slide of these stresses that we're experiencing right now in our daily lives, right? We are way too busy. And I personally feel like COVID has made this even more evident. But if any of these sound familiar to you, just having to do more with less, giving 110% effort, double booking, multitasking all the time, always feeling like you have to be on. I feel that way a lot, and I think most of us do. So this isn't going to slow down anytime soon, right? And I think there are days where I think we all can relate to this. You feel like you've crushed it, right? You've checked all your to-do list off. You were very productive. You felt good while you were doing it. At the end of the day, you still have energy. Does anybody have days like that anymore? I don't know. Mine seem like fewer and fewer, but we have those days, right? You've experienced that. And then on the flip side, we have days where we feel like we're not getting anything done. We're unproductive. We're tired. We're sluggish. And we don't like to have those days, right? So the idea here is we want to promote where more days, like that first scenario, where you feel like you're on top of the world, that you're getting things done, you feel productive, and you feel good while you're doing it. And that's really what Unimate is all about, and what we're going to talk about tonight, and how Unimate can help you achieve that. But before we get into Unimate, I want to just talk a little bit about Yerba Mate itself. So I almost always butcher this name, but Ilex paraguariensis. Yeah, I got it right. Ilex paraguariensis is the plant name that's also called Yerba Mate, much easier to say. And this is a plant that's been used traditionally in South America for centuries for its positive benefits on mental and physical health. And it's really an interesting custom that they have. The way that they traditionally consume it is that these dry leaves, like shown here, are placed in a gourd, and then they pour in the hot water, and there's a special straw, a special metal straw that has a filter that they use to drink it, and that prevents them from drinking up the leaves. But that straw is called a bombilla. And it's a social tradition. So people will have the gourd and pass it around the group, and they're talking and socializing. I'm guessing COVID has put a stop to a lot of that at the moment, but I'm sure it'll be back soon. But interesting backstory on Yerba Mate itself. And Yerba Mate is the key ingredient in Unicity's Unimate product. But it's not just any Yerba Mate that we have in there. It's a specialized extract from high quality Yerba Mate leaves that have undergone this patented 5-step process that really take the potency of those leaves to the next level. Okay, so here is what that process looks like. So first, our yerba mate leaves are handpicked in South America, and then they're fire roasted according to the custom. So that's the traditional way that they've been processed and used in South America. And from there, after the fire roasting, that product is shipped over to Switzerland for extraction. And it undergoes this extraction process in order to pull out the key components, the beneficial components that we want in our products. So after those are extracted, then they're concentrated. So we concentrate it so that we have a more potent blend, a more potent product. And then that goes through the last step of purification. This is another patented purification process that helps leave behind any undesired impurities or compounds in the plant and just end up with those key components that we're interested in having in our product. So what we're left with at the end of that 5-step process is a highly concentrated, pure, and potent yerba mate extract powder. And that is the main component, that's the basis of Unimate. So that process is designed to enrich these 4 key components of yerba mate. And these are what make our product so powerful. The 4 components, these are going to provide the benefits that people are going to feel and experience from taking Unimate. So these 4 things are chlorogenic acid, theobromine, caffeine, and triterpene saponins, or you could just call them saponins. So chlorogenic acid and theobromine are compounds that are kind of similar to caffeine. They have a lot of similar actions in the body, but they're considered to be not quite as strong as caffeine, and not in a bad way, but just almost, I guess you could say, like gentler than caffeine in their effects. So those 3 especially are going to have very synergistic effects on some of the same mechanisms that we know and think of when we think of the positive benefits of caffeine. So things like enhanced focus, attention, energy, and mood that caffeine can support, that is also supported by the chlorogenic acids and the theobromine. And theobromine you may have heard of. This is the key component in chocolate. So when you hear that eating dark chocolate is good for you, that is based on the theobromine content of chocolate. So just an interesting side fact about theobromine. And then lastly, the saponins, these have been shown in scientific literature to be able to influence obesity-related, fat metabolism-related gene expression. So you can imagine, after hearing all of those benefits from these 4 different compounds, how combining those 4 into a single product is going to create a lot of important benefits for us. Okay, but of those 4, chlorogenic acid is what I would say is the most important of those 4 components in the Unimate. And one of the reasons for that, it's just the most prevalent. So it has the highest amount of all the 4 in Unimate. And chlorogenic acid is a biologically active compound that's found in plants. So we call these biologically active compounds phytochemicals, phyto meaning plant. So many of you may have already heard of chlorogenic acid because it's also found in coffee. But it's also in yerba mate, obviously. It's also in other foods like prunes and pears and eggplants. And there is just an insane amount of research that has gone on chlorogenic acid because people recognize the benefits of it. So if you just Google benefits of chlorogenic acid, you could have content to read for like a month or more. But I've listed a few of just the key areas of research that support benefits in these areas. So we've got neuroprotective and antioxidant properties of chlorogenic acid. It's been shown to support feelings of well-being, so just general mood, healthy blood pressure, healthy glucose levels, and weight management. And as I just mentioned, it exists in coffee. So if you've read those headlines like in the newspaper that say your morning cup of coffee is actually good for you, that's actually more due to the chlorogenic acid content than it is due to the caffeine. So here's just a few headlines of different research studies that have been conducted on chlorogenic acid. Some of the things I already mentioned: positive effects on cognitive function, mood, brain health, blood pressure. But it's really the combination of that caffeine and chlorogenic acid that are going to create some of the strongest effects that we see from Unimate. So you may be thinking, well, how much chlorogenic acid does Unimate have? Is it just a little sprinkling? How does it compare to coffee? Well, we've actually scientifically tested our Unimate product and shown that it has up to 370 times more chlorogenic acid than like a standard yerba mate drink you might find on the shelf at the grocery store. In terms of its relation to coffee, it's a range. So it's going to be about 2 to 10 times more chlorogenic acid than coffee. And the reason for that range is that the amount in coffee is going to vary by the type of coffee, where it's grown, how it's processed, how it's prepared. So it is a range, but in any case, for the most part, you're getting more chlorogenic acids per serving, per cup of Unimate than you would be finding in a cup of coffee. So I just showed you some of that research on chlorogenic acid, but let's talk about some research on Unimate itself. And I hope that you all realize at this point, I don't know how long you've been with Unicity, probably most of you longer than I have. But at Unicity, we don't just create our products to be based on science. We actually test them. We test them to show the efficacy from a test tube level all the way up into humans, because we want to be able to have even more confidence that these products are going to work and do what they say that we do. So we have already conducted a handful of studies on Unimate to date, and I'm really excited about some of the research we currently have going on and being able to share that with you in the future. But today I'm going to focus on 3 studies that we've done. So the first one was an acute study. And acute just means that the measurements in the study were taken after a short period of time. So this is not with long-term use. But in this study, the participants took what's called the Oxford Happiness Questionnaire. And this assesses just general happiness scores. So they took that at baseline, and then they consumed a serving of Unimate. And then within the next 60 minutes, they took the survey again. And the results showed a 20% increase in this happiness score. So just a positive feeling right after you take it. And in the supplement industry, we call this experiential. So Unimate is an experiential product. That means you're going to feel the effects pretty immediately after you take it. And this is in contrast to something like calcium. I would not call calcium experiential. You take calcium because we know it supports bone health, and that's good for you, but you're most likely not ever going to feel the benefits of taking calcium, right? Unimate, on the other hand, is something that you do feel. And experiential products are great for customers because customers want to feel something from the products that they're taking, right? They want to feel like it's working, that it's having a positive benefit. So this is one of the bonuses of Unimate, is that you will get that experiential effect. Now, we've also heard from a lot of our consumers and distributors and internally within the company, people that take it, that Unimate has a really strong effect on their appetite. And I know I've experienced this. I do typically kind of a 16-hour fast. And then I consume food for 8 hours. And so the mornings can be really hard for me because, you're trying to extend your fast a few extra hours in the morning and you get hungry and irritable. So I have started taking my Unimate in the morning as coffee. It's basically, I never drank coffee before, but I did drink caffeine. So I've replaced that with Unimate now and really noticed a difference in, I can extend my fast a few more hours without feeling hangry. So I don't know if any of you have tried that, but we just knew from those anecdotal evidence that Unimate most likely was having an effect on people's appetite, which could also lead to supporting healthy weight loss. And as I mentioned, chlorogenic acid and caffeine already have evidence behind supporting appetite and weight management, but we wanted to look at this specifically in Unimate. So we conducted this study in 31 men and women, and it was over 30 days, and they took Unimate twice a day. And our results showed that on average, participants lost about 2.4 kilograms. That's not shown here. This is the percent weight loss, but it was 2.4 kilograms, which is about 5 pounds after 30 days. And then their waist and hip circumferences decreased by 10 and 7% respectively. So that's pretty impressive results for just a 30-day study. So this is very promising, and we're actually in the process of working on some even longer term studies to show the long-term benefits of taking Unimate on body weight, on appetite, and metabolic health. So the next thing I want to talk about is ketones and ketosis. I'm sure, again, if you've been with Unicity any amount of time, that you've heard of ketones. There's been this rise in the interest in the keto diet and the use of ketones for energy and its effects on the body and the mind. And this just shows a Google trend. I think we need to update the graphic. It ends in 2018, but in 2018, it peaked at interest for the search keto. People are very interested in this. But what exactly are ketones? Ketones are the byproducts that occur from breaking down fat to use for energy. And this occurs when we don't have carbohydrates available to use for energy. So these increased ketones, a lot of studies are going on about the effects of ketones, the effects of keto diets, and these are just a few of the potential benefits that have been either shown or being investigated of increasing ketone levels in the blood. And these include things like supporting healthy triglyceride and blood glucose levels, providing energy both at the mitochondrial level and providing energy for the brain, antioxidant properties, and mental and appetite support as well. So a lot of potential benefits that ketones are providing. And how does this relate to Unimate, you might be asking? Get to the point. So as you know, at Unicity, we promote the nutritional principles of prioritize protein, control carbs, and fuel with fat. And we also promote a timing kind of thing called 4-4-12, which is really just about getting space between your meals to allow your body to kind of go into that fat burning mode, so you're not always burning carbohydrates for fuel. And if we can do that, if we can get into that fat burning mode, then we're producing some of those ketones that can have some of those benefits we just talked about. So we did another clinical study where we tested the effects of Unimate on ketone production. And we found that it increased the production of ketones in the study participants by about 80% over the course of 2 hours. So Unimate was able to support the body's natural process of ketone production. It's almost just kind of boosting its ability to use the fat as fuel. All right, so we've covered a lot of information really quickly because they didn't give me a lot of time, although I guess Matt gave me a few extra minutes. But I hope that we'll remember those key components of Unimate and the benefits that we've talked about. And I kind of summarized them here. I don't know if you want to take a quick snapshot or screenshot, but benefits are on the left side and features on the right. And we discussed just the extensive amount of benefits that we have in Unimate, from supporting overall well-being, cognitive function, energy, appetite support, and weight management, as well as the natural production of ketones in the body and overall metabolic health. And those 4 key components that we discussed were the chlorogenic acids, which are the most important to remember. And those are supported by caffeine, theobromine, and the saponins. Now, the only other feature couple features I wanted to point out before I turn it back over here are informed sport certified. So you'll see if you have a Unimate box over here in the corner, there's a little logo that says informed sport. And that is an independent certification that we get that tests dietary supplements for substances that are commonly banned in athletes. And it also confirms that the products are manufactured under high quality standards. So we have that certification for Unimate and a few of our other products. And then it's also part of our Genomceutical line, which is Unicity's line of genomceutical products, which basically just means it contains ingredients that have been scientifically shown to positively regulate gene expression. So for Unimate, those include both the saponins that we talked about regulating some of those obesity-linked gene expression, as well as chlorogenic acid has a lot of studies showing positive effects on gene expression. All right. I think that's it. So I'll leave you with this slide, which just contains a few testimonial quotes from consumers about Unimate. And I think it just really captures what Unimate is. It is, one person said, liquid willpower, or like adding fuel to your mind. If you haven't taken Unimate yet, I would really encourage you to try it. It's an amazing product. I hope I've given you some great information to help you sell to your consumers, to help you explain it to your consumers. But I think the best thing you can have them do is just try it out for themselves. So I thank you very much for your time and attention, and I will turn it back over to Micah.